On this week's episode of the Game Pass Gamecast, we've got another edition of Party Chat, where we take your questions and topics surrounding the ever-evolving gaming landscape. This week, we take a look at what the future of GameStop and other game specialty stores could possibly look like, games we would recommend to those who have never touched a game before, ever, our biggest gaming pet peeves, and much, much more. Plus, we have some news surrounding CD Projekt Red's highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077 that has some fans torn. So, buckle up, and let's get started.
Now the fun begins. Punch it. Stop! You violated the law.
What is good, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Game Pass Gamecast. I'm your host, as always, Travis White, aka Traveless, on most internet platforms, and as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Adam Marshy Marsh and Mike P. Pack. Guys, what's going on? It's a beautiful day out today. It's a little warm in the studio apartment that we have going on. Not a studio apartment, it's a two-bedroom. It's really nice. But it is a little clammy in here, but we got a good episode for us today. So I'm going to kick it off as always. Guys, what have you been playing? Mike, what have you been playing, man?
We're like literally 4 days away from me leaving and going to Atlantic City.
So when you're receiving this podcast, we're kind of filming out of order because we wanted to get the Blair Witch review out kind of as soon as possible since that game launched the week before that. The next episode, you'll see. Yeah, this is pre-recorded. So this is before AC. Mike, go ahead and continue.
So, yeah, by the time you hear this episode, it will be after Atlantic City. But, so I've just been playing Halo. I was, getting into some other games, but unfortunately we're to that crunch time where anytime, I was, annoyed and wanted to get off of Halo, just had to take a deep breath, kind of swallow my pride, and get back on, because we're to the nitty-gritty here, and we got to get some things smoothed out before the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. We did play a little Overwatch last night. That was fun. We got a little pissed off at points, but
towards the end, yeah. I don't think we did. We even win a game?
No, we won. We won a couple.
Played?
Yeah, we won a couple. It just took quite a while because none of us had played in 4 months. But
yeah.
Anyways, kicking it over to our other co-host, Adam Marshy Marsh. Adam, what's good and what have you been playing now that Fire Emblem has kind of not sunsetted completely, but you've reached the finish line, and now you're not as committed, I guess. You're not, the time commitment isn't completely there anymore.
Alexis is on her New Game Plus run. She's playing as the Blue Lion's House. And I'm just kind of watching and helping her out, but she's mostly just playing on her own at this point. What I just picked up today, though, is Remnant from the Ashes, I believe it's called.
Okay.
And that's been a lot of fun. I just finished the tutorial and got out of the starting area, but it seems like a fun mix of an over-the-shoulder shooter like Gears, and it's co-op up to 3 players, so there's there's that experience. And it has a lot of the structural elements and kind of the movement and stamina and health systems of a Dark Souls. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope we get a chance to play it co-op.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I saw you playing it when I first got here, and it's definitely... And is it a PC only, or...?
I think it's on consoles, too. I'd have to check.
Okay. But you're playing on PC, obviously.
Yeah.
So... Cool. On my end, this weekend I wrote credits on Blair Witch because I wanted to make sure I got that out so we could talk about that in, technically, for you guys, last week's episode. But, outside of that, played a little Overwatch, like I said. I should say. I don't know why I said we. Me and the voices in my head. I played a little bit of Siege recently. Didn't stay on that too long just because it's such a time commitment. I did boot up WoW Classic. I maybe played for an hour waiting for, some of the guys to get on that we could play something else when we start playing Overwatch. But eventually, I bought a 1-month subscription. We'll see how long that lasts. I doubt I'll go past the 1 month. But just to get back in, like Adam was saying, too, a couple weeks ago, you mentioned, people sometimes don't realize how good they have it now compared to what they had back then. The nostalgia blinds you. And some of the things that I'm sitting there okay, I remember when I'd try to power level characters, I'd go through and you snag up as many quests as you can, and then just to help you save time and, manage your quests in a much more efficient way, you can't skip dialogue in quests. And they're reading it, it's just, all you hear is as if they're writing, and it's just slowly scrolling down.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, no, come on, no.
It's almost like you just want to be like beast mode, and you just roll up and just, why I'm here.
Exactly.
Give me the quest marker, and I'll be on my way.
Exactly. And like,
just tell me to bring you 10 rat pelts, and we can get on with it.
And maybe I feel like maybe I just didn't tinker enough with the settings or whatever, because I hadn't played. I played WoW for like a week, maybe like 2 years ago, and then before that I played it for much longer, but like I've been pretty much out of it for a long time, and the one thing I did like about it was you could, when you're power leveling characters, it's very obvious where, you could pull up your map and it shows you where quests are and where you're supposed to at least be in the general area to go if you're trying to farm animals or something like that. It's not evident in WoW. Like in WoW Classic, there's nothing. It doesn't tell you where to go. You have to actually read the quests and stuff like that, which for people who are, like to roleplay on roleplay servers in that game, that's awesome. Like, you want to be immersed. I get that, but for me, I'm just like, dude, just show me where to go. I like just doing, if I want to scratch that itch for, fetch questing or whatever, and just powering a character.
What about the lore, dude?
And I'm a lore guy with certain games. I mean, hell, I talked before about Doom and how I love the lore in that, and that's fucking Doom. Like, you would think that's a pretty base level game considering how the original creators were very like, story? No, that doesn't fucking matter. Now it's like Doom, there's so much lore to it. So, but outside of that, mostly I wanted to make sure it was kind of that stopgap with games of playing, because I knew Blair Witch was around the corner. I wanted to kind of not speed through it, but it is a very short game for the most part. That I wanted to make sure I gave it my full attention and not start something new and then stop and then try to pick something back up. But this week coming up should be pretty good. We got Gears 5 on the horizon. I'm really excited about that. That's like a 20-hour experience, supposedly, like for the campaign, which is wild, and it has like open world elements. Very excited for that. Sounds like it's going to get some good reviews too. So outside of that, let's before we head into our party chat segment, because this is a special party chat episode that we do every other week, give or take, usually. We're kind of out of sync right now with the Blair Witch dropping and us trying to get a review out for that. But before we do that, let's head into some housekeeping. And as always, we're reminding you about our Game Pass giveaway. Do you like Xbox Game Pass? Chances are pretty high that you do if you're listening to this show, because God knows it's not for my voice. Like I always say, I will keep hitting that home because that's got to be true. But I'll give you a good reason to put up with it, because we're giving away a free 3-month subscription to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to one lucky listener. That's Ultimate. That's PC, Xbox. You're covered, man. Want to know how to win? Trick question, because I'm going to tell you anyways. So, head on over to our Twitter account at GPGCPodcast and just do the following. Retweet the pinned tweet on our profile about the contest and follow our Twitter account. Boom. That's it. Easy enough, right? A link to the tweet will also be found in the description of this episode and every platform you get it on. So, clicking that will directly lead you to it. So, head on over to at GPGCPodcast and enter today. Hopefully somebody wins that soon. I'm trying to give somebody 3 months of Game Pass, so...
Yeah, so they get to experience Gears 5 4 days early.
Yep, exactly. That's the big thing. Like, that's where I'm actually excited, and I find it cool for the, get the Ultimate Edition, play it early. Well, in this sense, when you're, like, doing it with a membership, that to me is like, okay, that's cool. Like, not the, pay $100 for the game and you get it 3 days early.
Yeah, pay 40 extra bucks.
Yeah, I'll just fucking wait 3 more days. It's not like I'm like a heroin addict or something. Yeah. No, I'll just fucking wait. I'm cool, man.
It's insane. Like, the only people that I would think would be getting the game under that circumstance are, like, the pros that play it competitively.
Right. Or somebody who's doing it ahead of, like, outside of that, I mean, granted.
Or, like, a review. Or,
right, yeah. There's outlets that are getting it early for review, and they're getting review codes. But even then...
But the company's covering that, so does it really matter?
Right. Even then, though, they showed off last Thursday and Friday. So, the Thursday and Friday before Gears 5 dropped, for content creators to come in at the Coalition and play through, basically, a large majority of campaign to kind of get their preview thoughts out. And I'm sure they have review codes out now, because I think I saw a couple people at GameSpot who were talking about that's what they were doing this Labor Day weekend they were real excited about. So, before we head into our party chat segment, just a little bit of news that came out that I thought was kind of interesting. I tried to pick one news article just to talk about. Cyberpunk 2077, the huge, very highly anticipated RPG follow-up to CD Projekt Red's The Witcher in terms of their next project, not obviously in the same universe, but Cyberpunk 2077 will have minimal third-person cutscenes. So, Marcin Momot, the global community lead at CD Projekt Red, if I can talk, tweeted the following regarding immersion in Cyberpunk 2077 and why the first-person perspective is crucial to achieving that level of immersion. So, Momot says, achieving full immersion in a first-person perspective game is extremely important, and the decision made by the team to go 100% first-person in Cyberpunk the game is something that will benefit it greatly from gameplay and storytelling perspectives. That said, players will still be able to see their character in inventory screens, during driving sequences, in mirrors, and very occasionally in some cutscenes. So I just want to throw that out there because we're all big RPG fans. Character customization is key whenever we're talking about RPGs, especially to a game this size, like almost an Elder Scrolls, or something that you're always messing with your character from a stats perspective, an appearance perspective, anything like that. So, I want to hear you guys' opinion. What's your opinion on the first-person perspective compared to third-person in RPGs? Do you think one adds more than the other, or does it really matter as long as it's, as long as you're getting what you feel out of that, outside of whatever perspective it's in? What do you guys think?
So, I guess I'll start it off. I think if I'm role-playing a character in an RPG, it can go like one of two ways. I'm either like completely inserting myself into that character,
right,
and my avatar is me, or I've devised some character who I'm like, okay, this is a separate person who I control, but like I know who they are, I know what they're about. And so like with first person, it's much easier to step into a role and believe that it's just yourself, right? But with a third-person perspective, you're going to see that character more, all of the like inconsistencies and flaws that were in the character creator, because obviously you can't make something exactly like what your vision is.
Right.
Like you can't replicate yourself entirely in a character creator. Probably. I don't know if we're ever going to get there. So it would probably be easier for me to like fully immerse myself as the player character if there was almost no third-person perspective. If it was just like, hey, like this is you the entire time. I was playing Remnant today, and like there's a quick character creation, and then there's a bunch of cutscenes that have your player character, and I'm just kind of staring at his dumb face, and I'm like, yep. I hope he doesn't talk, because I'll probably hate it. So, like, it can take you out of the experience.
And then sure enough, you hear him, come on! Ah!
Yeah, sometimes it can just take you out of the experience.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a different story if you're making a character who's, like, distinct from yourself. Like, oh, I'm playing this person, and they have a history and a personality and all that stuff. That's a little bit more fitting for that kind of situation where, okay, I can see this person in the third-person perspective, and, like, I know who they are, I can see what they look like, and I get to see them acting out on screen. It's not just me, myself, the player is the avatar.
Right.
But that's just my perspective.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think, man?
Badum-tish.
I think it's a situation where it ultimately comes up to the creative freedom of the game designer. And if that's the vision that they want to instill in other players, if they want a more first-person experience than a third-person experience, obviously it's cool when games, you kind of mentioned the Elder Scrolls series, how you can kind of go third-person or first-person based on your liking. I know sometimes, like, if I'm just, like, running around and it's just droning on, sometimes I'll pop into third-person just because I'm, like, chilling and bored. But, like, when it comes to the fighting the fighting situation with Elder Scrolls, I really like to be in first person for that. So I think it's cool that they're going to make it first person, sounds like almost exclusively, with a limiting of third person cutscenes. It's going to put those players who really like to, get immersed, like you guys are kind of saying, like the full immersion aspect of the game. I think that's going to benefit greatly. I'm not one of those players that really likes to get fully immersed in games. Like if it's a horror game, absolutely. I love like Resident Evil 7, there was little to no third person at all, and you're in first person and you're kind of getting surrounded, so you put your headphones on, you turn the
lights off, baby,
and you just get into it, and I really enjoy that. So as far as Cyberpunk as a game, we haven't seen much gameplay, so we really don't know. Like, we know it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We think it's going to be awesome.
We've
anyway.
seen about probably, at least the public has seen now, probably about, it's under 2 hours of gameplay.
Right.
But granted, that's going from last year when they showed behind closed doors that then got revealed to the public.
Yeah.
That's like, I think it was like pre-alpha build stuff.
Yeah,
so it's
like
now
staged.
it's starting to get into like probably, I would imagine by now it's a beta phase with them launching in April.
Absolutely.
See,
to me, it's like when you go to these E3 and things of that nature, when you have staged gameplay that's pre-recorded to me, that's fake to me. Like, I can't take that because...
It's like all of those Ubisoft things, like
Yeah.
The Division did it, I think Wildlands did it,
Yeah.
where they have like those like... They sound like they're actual people playing the game, but you know they're just actors like, playing
it's
over
just
pre-recorded
awful.
play.
Like, I would much rather a design studio sit down on stage at E3 and show me.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to show me gameplay, awesome, but guess what? Sit your ass down in the chair
Right.
and talk to me as you're playing and tell me what you're doing.
There are some studios that do that.
Yeah, which is, I think, is way more authentic, and it's believable.
Right.
Because it brings back to, like, with me, it's all Halo, if you haven't been able to tell, but it goes back to, like, Halo 3 when they were releasing some pre-recordings of that game that were staged. People are like, oh my god, like, I forget what was happening, like, there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on the screen, and everyone was panicking.
Mhm.
And then we get the beta, and it's nothing like what we saw gameplay-wise.
Right.
So it's like, how much of that we saw already with Cyberpunk is going to hold true? That remains to be seen. But for me, until I sit down night one, or have watched people, like, video of them with the controller in hand actually playing, not pulling that kid on Twitch who streamed the UFC fights and had his controller in hand and was acting like he was playing. That was the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's on the front page of Twitch. He has an Xbox One controller in hand.
Like,
and he's
making sure it's, like, just in the camera's view, like...
Like, it makes it look like he's playing, but he streamed, like, the whole of the UFC fights that night. And to me, it's just like, if that's what you want to go with, man, that's cool. Some other players might not like it, but then again, do you have a situation where you kind of want to be like a presidential candidate? Do you just want to reach like 51% and that's all that really matters? Like,
Right.
do you want to win the majority or, you know?
One of my favorite moments that you're talking about, like how at E3 you love to see, I'm like you, I love to see actual gameplay where somebody is sitting down and has, their hands on a controller.
Exactly. And they're talking through what they're doing. Like,
right.
when there's new features in a Gears of War game, they would talk about, like, hey, you can slide over cover and kick the enemy now and stun them if they just want to hide behind cover. Because in Gears of War 1, that was a big problem. You would just sit there on each side of the wall. And it's like, whoever stands up first is going to get blown to bits by a Gnasher. It's like, how are you going to combat that? Now you can slide over the wall, you know?
Still one of my, to this day, and I think it'll probably hold up as one of my favorite moments from E3 that falls in camp with this. When God of War 2018 was revealed at, I think it was E3 2016. And they basically, it was a slow build up to Kratos, revealing Kratos and revealing that it's a God of War game. They had a live orchestra playing that played along the actual score from that scene that they eventually recorded. And the creative director, Cory Barlog, actually, they had a camera on him, sitting there with a controller, playing it. Like, they're showing you. And the coolest thing was when they finally revealed Kratos, seeing his reaction, everyone, like, going, oh my god! Like, and him just, like, holding back tears, like, holy fuck, people fucking like this. Like, that's probably the most satisfying feeling in the world. But it to me, going off your point, I'm 100% there. Like, with these large-scale projects, and you see it a lot with Ubisoft games, and to me, Ubisoft is one of the best third-party developers, or developers and publishers out there right now, in terms of the products they're putting out, that both, okay, yeah, we still have to do the microtransaction bullshit that, our investors want us to do. We got to make money off of this for long term, as, quote-unquote live service games, but they do it in a way that you're still getting a shit ton of content, and it's fair. And they're still giving you free content.
And their games are
good.
They feel pretty polished.
Right.
They're not like other devs who, like, after a week they release like a 3 gig patch that fixes all the bullshit they were just too lazy to get in.
No, 100%.
Because they wanted to meet deadlines instead of just pushing the like Rockstar did with Red Dead.
Mm-hmm.
When they kept delaying that game, people were frustrated online, and to me it was just like, well, at least they're going to put out something that fucking works.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they don't want a disaster day one like Master Chief Collection. Like, if it's going to work, I don't care if you delay it for a year.
100%.
As long as it's good and it works, I don't care.
Like,
at least
like Miyamoto says, it's what is it? A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is
always bad.
Is always bad.
bad.
Yeah, and
And in 2019, that statement doesn't necessarily always hold up because you can update games and whatnot, like you were saying. But at the same time, I'm also part of the people like you who's saying, hey, I know this is a live service game, but don't be like Anthem or The Division 1 mostly, or even Siege when it first launched, where you're literally, here's the base game for $60, but there's like zero content. There's zero replayability.
It was naked when I bought Siege. That was kind of a bummer.
You put in 20 hours and it's a live service game, but then there's nothing else to do after that 20 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, but you got to wait for 6 months until we drop the next patch. I get why they want to do that. They want to extend the life of the game, but like if you're not ready to do that yet and you're just getting it out the door, you're going to sell. People are going to want to buy more with good reviews, with good previews, good everything like that, knowing that there's content day one. That people can go in there. More people are going to buy that. You're going to make more money if you're, like, giving fans just a little bit more. Like, just a little bit. Not the world. You don't want to give them... I get that, but, like, give them a little bit more. Like, appreciate their investment, I guess.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to stay there long term.
That's kind of why, like, I'm almost on strike against Siege. Like, I'll play it every once in a while, but I bought the game for $60 and got the original ops. I did not get a single extra op.
Yeah.
You can buy the game now and you get all these extra operators and the game's $20. Or even if you don't get the extra operators, the game's $20. Well, I spent $60 and I got no benefit.
True.
Like, they still haven't given me any extra content. Like, hey, you know what? You played the beta. You gave us feedback.
Day one.
Yeah, because I played the beta too. And it's like, and you bought us day one. Here's a thank you. Now, other devs do that. But Ubisoft hasn't taken care of us, and I don't want to. I'm not playing their fucking game. Like, I don't want to hear it.
No, that's fair.
I was part of the test group that whenever Jaeger had the ACOG scope on his MP7, and you could spawn peek on the fence the entire time. Like, I wrote in and was like, dude, this is insane. Like, the offense can't even get out of their spawn because Jaeger's sitting there with an ACOG scope just one-tapping people as they run out. And they removed the ACOG scope from his gun. But, it's just, it's a shame, and I think everybody around this table can agree that we all bought games back when there were no patches.
Right.
Could you imagine if Ocarina of Time released, and let's say, in Jabu Jabu's belly, let's say there was some type of glitch that 60% of the time it was game breaking and you like fell out of the map and you had to restart and you didn't save, so you have to restart the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And then a week later they patch it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how many people you would have turned off.
True, yeah.
But because there was no updates, there's no online system, the game has to come polished because there's no second chances.
Yeah,
I miss that.
It forces the extra care.
Yeah, like Halo 1. Now, obviously there were some glitches and people found them, but it wasn't anything like multiplayer-wise. It was like the backpack reload, the double melees, the other things you can pick up weapons through the ground, like on Hang 'em High. You can pick up the rockets or Prisoner. You can pick up the rockets if you jump from a certain spot.
Yeah.
But to Halo gamers with the BXR, the double shots, all that stuff, we just see that as like a skill gap.
Yeah.
Like if I know how to backpack reload, I know how to glitch where I pick up weapons, I know how to double melee, I know how to BXR, BXB, double shot. It's not that hard. You can learn too, but you got to practice it. So to us, that's a skill gap. Whereas, like, with RPGs and things of that nature, when things are just broken, it doesn't make it any better.
True.
And, with the Blair Witch, I know one of our listeners, Mike, he, messaged me and he said within, like, 30 minutes, he, like, broke the game with, like, a glitch or something,
really?
supposedly. So, there was some movement thing that he did, and it, like, kind of broke the game and he had to restart. So, we'll see. We're about to play that here in a bit, but... Yeah.
No, definitely. Well, let's move into our party chat segment, the segment that we talk to you and you help kind of where you kind of help center and drive the content that's on the show. We take topics, questions, discussion points, anything from you, the listener, about gaming, and we talk it all out. So, our first submission comes from Insomniac Hal. Insomniac, thank you for writing in. Thank you for listening and being a part of this growing community. So, Insomniac says, you're in charge of recommending games for someone who's just getting into gaming. Your goal is to recommend 2 games to this person. 1 modern game and 1 quote-unquote retro game. What are your choices?
Oh boy, that's going to be a tough one, Insomniac Owl. A lot of responsibility to try to make recommendations to someone who's new to the medium.
So, and we could, with all the submissions we get in, I always say that we're able to manipulate these a little bit to fit the discussion, I think. So, just imagine this is somebody who's just like, you know what, I want to start playing games. What's the best games you recommend for somebody to get in? It could be, and one has to be a quote-unquote retro, and one has to be one that they can just go on Xbox Store or the PSN, or on PSN or Nintendo eShop or whatever, and can get today. That's just
or
like
walk into a GameStop.
Yes, or yeah, exactly. That they can go and get in store today. That is a good entry point into, not too advanced, but enough that it's like this should catch your hook to how gaming was and how gaming has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe something like that.
As someone who has loved playing the Legend of Zelda games forever,
mm-hmm.
I feel like the first Zelda game might be a good starting point because there's almost nothing taken for granted in that game. Like, you have to learn everything on your own. There's not a lot of instruction. You might want to tell them, hey, you have to go into this cave on the first screen to get the sword. But after that, it's all bets are off. And that game is completely like exploration driven. You can play it non-linearly, like many of the dungeons you can do out of order. And it's just like, find your way, make it to the end, however
it doesn't hold your hand.
Manage. Yeah. And then I would say, okay, now that you've played that and you understand what it was like, turn around and play Breath of the Wild now with the modern graphics,
which in all intents and purposes is really a reimagining of that in a modern, with modern amenities to it.
It is its closest like extant relative, as far as a modern game. So then you go into the Breath of the Wild, and it's like, oh, look at all these new features, like all the weapon durability stuff. Like, that's something pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in an old game, I feel like just like even hardware and systems limitations would make it difficult for you to have such a disposable set of equipment. Like, you have to have like 5 to 10 items, and they have to do very specific things because you have to reuse them for the whole game and like make them last.
No, very true.
So then you come in with like the crafting system, which is inspired by other more modern RPGs like Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
You come in with the stamina-based traversal. You come in with, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff about Breath of the Wild that's like a progression of that formula. And it's just, one of my favorite game series.
Oh, absolutely. I'm right there with you. I mean, Zelda means the world to me. That's my first love and will be my last love probably in gaming. But if you ask me, I thought about Zelda as just that series in general, because I think that is no matter which entry you play, I think it is they're all accessible for the most part. You could really pick them up and play them most of the titles on quote-unquote modern consoles, really, if you wanted to. If you ask me for a retro game, I find it hard not to recommend the original Super Mario Brothers, because I think that's the most straightforward game, and still does one of the best jobs in gaming of where it isn't holding your hand, but it shows you through environments how to play the game.
Yeah.
You're on level 1-1. You go right up. There's a couple blocks, and it lays out, you have to jump onto the next one to get the mushroom that makes you bigger. But if you hit these blocks, sometimes coins come out and things like that. Like it maps out without saying anything how to actually do things. And in gaming today, like you could do that with say if I'm playing a driving game and it's nighttime, and one of the road signs has a light that's kind of flickering on it, like that's starting to go out or something. That to me is a sign I should probably go that way. If no other lights are on, that's pointing me in that direction. But at the same time, there's so many games that want to build immersion that don't do that and just throw you in there. Like, okay, have fun, but they don't teach you how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You could learn how to play the game without really, verbally saying something like, "Hey, walk over there and do this." I think that's kind of like a lost art in a lot of games.
Yeah.
NES games were tough because they didn't really coddle you. They were just here's your game, better figure out how to play it.
1-1 is such a masterclass in design because, like, I've watched videos on this before. Like, there's a certain part where you're in between two pipes, and, like, they're both tall enough that you can't progress, and you won't die unless the time runs out, but you can't progress unless you learn how to hold the button down to jump higher.
Yeah.
It gives you a lot of chances to experiment and, like, try things in a safe environment, and then it tests you later on to see, okay, do you remember how this works?
Yeah.
I would recommend, so my gut tells me I'd recommend that, because I think that's the most accessible game, period. You can play that anywhere, really, if you want, both legally and illegally, But I would recommend that. And in a modern game, I would probably recommend... Part of me wants to say I'd recommend like a game like Uncharted, like a third-person action game that's very cinematic.
Okay.
That is very much the norm, I would say, in a lot of AAA games. At the same time, though, I don't want to recommend anything less than that in terms of like a walking sim or anything, because while those are great and they tell great stories, at the same time, though, games are, on my end, should be interactive first and foremost.
Yeah.
Like, I love that games are now telling stories because I'm such a big movie guy as well. But when I'm playing a game, I want to interact with it. I don't want to just...
There's not a lot of verbs in a walking sim.
No. So there's not... I still want to be challenged. I still want to do things like that. And that, to me, is not the base of gaming. That's not the foundation of gaming where you're not challenged. But outside of that, I would say either one of the Uncharted games, or if you want to open it up more, I still would have to, even though it isn't... Just because it's the most accessible game, I'd recommend Skyrim. Because I think that does a great job of introducing you to RPGs, or at least the thought of RPGs, where it's not the best RPG in the world by any means, but it's casual enough that it at least gets people interested in that genre, because I think that is, me personally, it's probably my favorite genre to play, at least action-adventure RPG, the feeling that you get of playing, especially like a European fantasy style.
Yeah.
I know this one's more Nordic, but...
Northern European.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, I think that's a good taste test, more so than I would recommend like a Fallout game, because I feel Fallout games are a little more, not abrasive, but they're comparative to Elder Scrolls, at least the direction they're going. Even though Fallout has become more mainstreamed and streamlined and casual, they still have their roots are much more evident than I think Elder Scrolls right now, for better or worse. But I would probably recommend either, if you're interested in an RPG, go Skyrim, that kind of shows you where games could go in terms of depth. But if you want for the presentation of games, I would say an Uncharted game. What about you, man?
I guess it all just depends to me, like what you consider retro.
And that could be anything. That could be literally if you want to pull up Snake on your phone, if you want to pull up Pong, Tetris. It doesn't matter. I mean, pinball. I mean, you could anything you could think of.
See, to me, it probably dials back, and I think you guys both touched on really good ideas with your games that you chose. I would probably... I'm a bigger Sonic fan than I am Mario. I like Mario, but for some reason Sonic as a kid was the one that really grabbed me. So if I was going retro and was going Sega, I'd probably choose something like Sonic, just because the music and everything that's involved with the Sonic games is really interesting. I think it kind of grabs you for a lot of different reasons. You know, the artwork of the game is a little different than what you would expect.
I mean, the aesthetic of Sonic is still beautiful.
Right.
I mean,
it's fantastic. The music is amazing. All the little things with Tails and Robotnik, and it's a really cool game. And
Snoopingus?
And it's a really awesome game. And I mean, I would go back to Sonic 2. Sonic 1's good, but I liked being able to like hold down and charge up your roll. Yeah. So I would probably like say Sonic 2 for sure. If we're going to do the whole trilogy, 1, 2, 3. 3's pretty good, but I feel like 2 gives you a lot more of like a base to stand on when you get into 3, because 3 was like the tail end of Sega. Yeah. And it had some like upper echelon type stuff that like the Sega was like, it was maxing out the hardware that Sega had. So,
for sure.
I would definitely say Sonic as far as retro. Current day, I guess it would just be dependent on your interests. For me, this question's a good question. The only thing that it kind of leaves up to me is like, what are you into? Are you into sports? Are you into history? Are you into? So I guess I'll probably do this. I'll do this in a couple stances, I suppose that you could say. Sonic for retro. If you just want to get like a decent little background history of the video game industry, like you said, Mario, Travis, very good idea. Adam, Zelda 1. I mean, you guys hit some of the biggest classics. So it's like, are you really looking for something that will give you something to chew on that you could experience from a past? Another game that Adam probably was really, torn. I would say like Sonic. If you wanted a turn-based RPG, Shining Force for the Sega.
Oh yeah,
well, it's very rare and hard to get your hands on. If you had the chance, if you haven't ever played it,
it's out there.
But it's a good one. Like, if you're into Final Fantasy and you're into turn-based action and you're listening to this podcast and you really love classic Final Fantasy, telling you, if you go back and play Shining Force, you're going to see where Final Fantasy got its legs from.
And before you continue, when I'm making these, when I'm alluding to downloading ROMs illegally, I don't condone downloading games illegally. Buy your games, support developers, all that jazz. But for game preservation state, if you cannot access the game, I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't, because
there's also the Sega...
That's a whole other discussion. I just want to throw that out there.
Classics on Steam.
Yeah.
Where Shining Force is a part of Sega Classics on Steam.
And that's fine. Then go do that. But if it isn't, if there are some games that are out there, and I don't want to go down a complete, tailspin talking about this, but at the same time, there are games out there that are very integral to the history of gaming that are just not available. That are out there. The only way you can play them is illegally downloading a ROM,
or pay $300 for the cartridge from someone.
And that's that's not accessible to people. And that's my biggest problem with Nintendo doing. I'm all for how they're at least getting these NES games out there, and some of them are even kind of taboo, which is great, because that's not for me, but that's for somebody, and that's great, and that's at least a little added value. But at the same time, that's what was great about the Virtual Console, was all of their stuff, for the most part, slowly found its way onto the Virtual Console. All the big titles that you wanted to play, people will gladly pay you $5 to play this fucking game if it's accessible. If it's easy, instead of going out there and going all over the county to go try to find a cart that I'm probably going to pay, 2 times or 3 times the market value for somewhere, and this is just the collector in me talking, but I'm going to pay out the wazoo just to play it, people will gladly pay multiple times for an old game if it's just easily accessible. At least on my end. It's same with movies. Like, movies, if you offer it at a reasonable price and it's accessible, people will gladly pay that. That's not a ridiculous thought. But anyways, continue. I just didn't want to cover my ass, really. I don't support developers, support gaming.
It's perfectly legal to use emulators
if you own the cart, though.
Yeah, if you own the game. You can dump your own ROMs.
Yeah, you can if you own the thing. That's the thing. If you can't access the game, though, in a a pretty straightforward way, then what are you supposed to do? It just shouldn't be. You shouldn't have to move heaven and earth to play. Not that it isn't accessible on this, but for an example, it is very accessible. But you shouldn't have to move heaven and earth to go play A Link to the Past or something like that. Like, you shouldn't have to fight somebody and still pay $300 to buy an SNES Classic, right? Even though they're very available.
I agree.
You get what I'm saying. But anyways, go ahead, continue, Mike.
I'm a huge Sega fanatic. That was my console growing up. Like, I had an older brother, so I had a Sega and I had an NES, but I always gravitated more towards the Sega. If you're a Disney fanatic, I implore, if you or your kids or your daughter or girlfriend is a Disney fanatic and you have a Sega, I would implore you to play, The Lion King or the Aladdin. I'm not a big Super Nintendo fan. I heavily prefer Sega. So I would say what they did with those Disney games, the Jungle Book. I mean, they made all those movies into video games. It was pretty cool for back then, honestly. So that would be my retro grade. Current day, like I said, it would be up to the person to tell me kind of what they are about. But I would say something like Gears 1 would be pretty good for someone who was into FPSs or shooters. I would stay away from Halo 1 just because it's a little dated, but I feel like Gears 1 feels a little bit better even in today's state. You touched on Elder Scrolls. I would probably go to Oblivion. I know I just said that I wouldn't go to Halo 1 because some of it's dated, but such a big Oblivion fanatic, I can't get away from it. One of those 2 games for sure, I would say, would cover most bases.
But do you think that's something that somebody can easily jump into? Do you think Oblivion is something that if somebody's gaming for the first time, you want to, hey, play this. This should be one of your first games you play. Just out of curiosity.
I think it is, but because the Imperial Sewers section kind of teaches you how to do everything.
Oh, 100%.
It's like a little bit of a tutorial where it teaches you how to pick items up. It teaches you how to fight. It teaches you how to equip items. Then it teaches you how to lock pick. It teaches you how to do this, how to do that. Then you are listening to the dialogue and you start listening to characters, and they give you in the sewers, they give you a little bit of guidance and tell you what to do. So then it's introducing this idea of talking to townsfolk if you need help with something. It gives you markers on the map on what it wants you to do, and it lets you fight these little minuscule enemies that teach you the ways of fighting. And it gives you the option to use a sword, an axe, a bow, your hands. It gives you all this different customization right off the bat, and I think it kind of sets a nice base layer, more so than any other Elder Scrolls game, or really any game. It has that little... I think the Imperial Sewers is really underrated, and I know people get annoyed when they go back and play Oblivion for the millionth time. It's like, oh my god, I have to do the Imperial Sewers. Well, just do what I did, and make a save at the end of the Imperial Sewers. That way, if you ever want to start a new character, you can just go there and switch everything.
Yeah.
But for the fresh body, sit them down, hand them a controller or a keyboard and mouse, say, go play this game. Oblivion's really good just because it has that really noob-friendly environment right off the bat. And it already is starting to begin lore, like right off the bat, with Valen Dreth, and the guards are coming for you.
Yeah.
And then, the Emperor starts talking to you, and it's just teaching you all this stuff right off the bat.
Yeah.
I just love it, and I think that it would be amazing for anyone who never has played a game before. You hand them that, and especially if the Sky Oblivion comes out soon, and it gets all the updated graphics and combat.
Yeah.
Then, but even
that
vanilla,
may be hard for somebody who's just stepping into gaming to actually know how
to do the mods.
Mod and shit like that.
But I'm guessing it's going to be pretty easy. You're going to download one thing, click it. I'm sure they're spending the time that if you want Sky Oblivion and you own Oblivion, click this button and get the experience. Hopefully,
or Skyrim, because I think they're
me,
using Skyrim as a base.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. So
even me,
same thing.
You gotta own both.
Who is a tech person? I don't even like to fuck with mods because it's just so annoying. Like, if I download 15 mods and turn them all on and it breaks Oblivion, then I have to go back and fucking turn every single one
to
off
try to find
and test them
ones,
and test which one's bad. And then you go into those files and you're like, well, why is this bad? Then you read online for an hour how to get this one mod to work that makes me be able to itch my character behind the ear. Like, who fucking cares? I don't want it.
Right.
Like, vanilla is fine to me, so
100% agree.
I could give someone vanilla Oblivion and feel 100% confident that in their first game...
Is that your modern game?
Yeah, I would go modern. I wouldn't consider that retro.
Okay.
To me,
it's
like I said,
it's on Xbox One. So
like I said, to me, the definition of retro, to me, you have to go back N64 or Dreamcast and back.
Something
like
that you
Xbox,
pick up in a store
the original Xbox, PS2, to me, that's not retro. Like, to people today, 18-year-olds today, yes. But I'm 26, so it isn't retro to me.
See, I think, and I'll just kind of put a cap on this discussion so we move into the next point.
Sure.
To me, I find the Xbox One, with how easily accessible backwards compatibility is with that system, I think that blurs the lines a little bit, because you can play original Xbox games to an extent. I mean, some original Xbox games on a Xbox One console, and some of them are even getting like 4K patches, which is wild. But I still think it's hard to call the 360 PS3 Wii generation retro, just because it's the previous gen. I think original Xbox does get into. You're starting to get at least. I would if you made a case for saying that isn't retro, I'd listen. But to me, like, 99% of original Xbox games you can't walk into a store and buy. Well, sure. Like, you could walk into GameStop and buy 360 and PS3 games still. So to me, that's not retro. Where I think there is kind of a there's at least a discussion to be had.
Right. I think we could really, like, at this point, you're really just like picking hairs. To me, it's just like so. Adam could have a completely different opinion on it, and I think it varies from person to person. And that's why I said, like, with Sega, it depends on what you want to consider retro, because like you're saying, if I can't walk into a store and pick it up, sure, I could say that's retro. But at the same time, comparing Halo 1 and Mario 1, like, if I lump them all into retro, and you're going to ask me what the best retro game is,
no, 100%.
Some of those old NES, Sega, and, like, so I lump it into generations, and we'll continue on. We can talk about this if you guys want, or we can move on, but I lump it with, like, Sega, NES, Super Nintendo. That's all kind of retro to me, if you will. N64, PS1, the Dreamcast, I kind of lump all that. Like the Sega Saturn, I kind of lump all that into about the same thing.
Yeah.
And then Xbox, PS2, GameCube, I lump all those together. And then I lump it by generations. Yeah. Because I lived in a time when I saw the separation of all these generations.
Well, it was very obvious. You could see, plain as day, the advances that were being generation. Yeah. Now it's it's still, you're still seeing graphical leaps, but not to the extent of from obviously
even just
Super
the
Nintendo
physics.
to N64, but then N64 to GameCube,
Yeah.
and then GameCube to, I mean, Wii wasn't HD, but point being, like, Xbox to Xbox 360 was
Yeah.
clear, like,
Even, like, the
okay,
physics,
that's a big
like,
jump.
You shoot someone in GoldenEye, and I remember, like, playing on the harder difficulties, if one of the enemies that you shot did the slow-ass dying animation where they drop to their knees and sit there and then fall on their face, well, there is enemies behind them that can hit you, but you're shooting the shit out of that guy who's dead, and you can't hit the guys behind him. So, like, things like that, like, it all just kind of, like, cultivates to different generations for me, and that's why retro to me, and that's why I gave that explanation. And
yeah. So, Sonic and Oblivion, you're going with. Those are your two picks.
Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on to the next one here, and speaking of Oblivion, this comes from Imperial Scum. Great name.
I love it.
So, with the discussion last week around Blair Witch, what entertainment IP, this could be movies, TV, music, whatever, that's outside of gaming, would you like to see enter the world of interactive media with a game based on their property? Adam, what do you think, man?
When I've read this question, all I could really think of is Firefly, and I really hope that nothing else is ever made officially for Firefly. I think they had the TV series that was like, it flopped on television, then it got a cult following.
Was
on
that
DVD.
on Sci-Fi?
I don't remember. It's probably airing on Sci-Fi now.
Okay, maybe that's where I've seen it
But
before.
it ran for, I think, Fox for like one season, and then it didn't get very good ratings, and they canceled it.
Okay.
And then like 5 years later, they brought the whole original cast back, and they shot an original movie to kind of wrap everything up.
What's it about? I'm not familiar with Firefly.
It's a really good TV show. I'd totally recommend it. It's 1 season long. It's 9 people on a spaceship who are basically, they're kind of towing the line between being like smugglers, criminals, and like trying to do some legit work.
Okay.
They're basically just trying to survive in the frontier of space, out in like colonies where there's like core planets in their solar system that are more like civilized and developed, and that's where like the center of government is.
Okay.
But most of these characters lived through a civil war where they were on the side that didn't want to unify. They wanted to stay like all these different planets, and loose associations of planets were independent. But then the Alliance comes in and they unify the whole star system. So these are people who are living, basically, it's like a post-Civil War type show. It's like a space western.
Okay.
And they have aesthetics of like, when they go planet side, they have like guns that look like revolvers, and they're wearing dusters and even riding horses sometimes.
Oh, shit.
So they're like cowboy smugglers, and there's
That actually sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's an
sounds like a
amazing
good
show.
Yeah.
And the film wraps up really nicely, but essentially it's a character-driven thing about like how they're just trying to survive, and they come in conflict with outside forces and with each other through the course of the show. But there's just this feeling that I think could really well be translated into a game.
How could you see it being translated? Like, what's your idea of a game for that?
Have you ever played Elite Dangerous?
No, I've heard of it, but refresh my memory.
So it's like a space flight sim with a couple of like combat elements, and there's some like economic activities that you can do. Like you can mine asteroids and sell stuff and upgrade your ship, stuff like that.
Okay.
I feel like if you took that space flight simulator a step further and introduced like more stuff to do, I guess.
Okay.
Because the feeling you get watching Firefly is like these desperate people on the fringes of society just trying to get by, doing whatever work they can. It doesn't matter if it's a dirty job, if they have to kill people, smuggle illegal goods, or like whatever. That feeling of living on the very edge of civilization would work really well in a game. And I feel like Elite Dangerous gives you some of those feelings sometimes. If they would just add in some more stuff, like more jobs that had like significance to the area. Like if you did some smuggling jobs, maybe you find out later on that like people that you were smuggling for, like they were facing some kind of outbreak, and you smuggled medicine and you saved a colony. Or maybe if you turned the job down because you didn't want to get heat from the feds on you, maybe you find out that colony died, and you're like, well, I was just trying to protect my own ass, like it's every man for himself out here.
No, that's
But I don't think it should really be under the Firefly property. I just want to like kind of capture the feeling that show gave me.
Okay, all right, I can respect that. I've never been like, I've always liked space, like, I don't want to say it, almost like the Rogue Squadron and the like X-Wing games and stuff like that. Like, they're cool. I just never was able to get too deep into them, but I always did respect like the fact that they're bringing something that I don't know how to explain it, what I'm trying to say, but like something that on such a grand scale, like space exploration in terms of even just flying in a, you know, you would have to imagine the dimensions probably aren't that big, especially with a game like Rogue Squadron or something like that you're actually flying in, but it gives you that feeling of like that you are in space and it's endless and you are on the outskirts of society. But I like that idea. I could see that happening. Mike, what do you think, man?
This is like for the first time ever, Imperial Scum. If you've been a listener of the show since the beginning, or
you are the listener.
If you know, my friends are going to be surprised at this, but I really don't have that much to say on the topic because I've always spent a lot of my time daydreaming about what games would turn into amazing movies. I've never really thought
the reverse.
I've never really thought about the reverse, where like they took like the James Bond GoldenEye and they made it an incredible game, or they took something and already made it a game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like The Wolf Among Us. Like obviously they took that from pop culture with like
Fables.
Comic book,
Yeah.
like Fables, which we touched on briefly last episode or 2 episodes ago, whatever. To me, it's really tough to go from the way you're saying it. I guess like this is kind of a cop-out answer and it doesn't really need elaborating, but like for me, I think something like Game of Thrones would be amazing. And I know they made a Telltale game of it, but I mean,
they actually did
open
make
world.
a Game of Thrones game, like
Yeah.
an RPG.
Yeah.
It was fucking horrible,
Yeah.
supposedly, but like I'd like to just kind of diving in on that. There was a rumor going around at one point
Yeah.
that I don't think they were developing it. It wasn't like a BGS
Sure.
developed game, but there was rumors that Bethesda was
Yeah.
publishing a Game of Thrones game, an RPG, or at least something in that universe with that IP. That to me, that's a like. I mean, I know Bethesda does get some slack nowadays, but if I'm going to trust somebody to do who at least has a lineage of RPG and has lived and breathed by that sword for a long time,
Yeah.
like with the Elder Scrolls, I think that's one company I like, no brainer, like take that property,
Right,
run
and
with it.
That's like, to me, that's where I get nervous, because if you took Gears of War and made it a movie,
Mhm.
or, you know, we already saw Mortal Kombat and the movie was just okay, and then the second one was just awful. I'm like,
For the zeitgeist at its time, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
As a kid, you're like, this is the fucking
you're like,
coolest
holy
thing.
shit, Sub-Zero's here and he's actually throwing ice? But,
Yeah.
but like, as far as like, when you go from something that's so beautiful in a movie or a TV show, and you try to bring it the other way,
Mhm.
I have those same, like, I'm terrified to bring something that was so amazing and like bring it to Xbox. And I think that Game of Thrones, as time wore on, it got worse when it got further away from George R.R. Martin, and it kind of just felt really rushed at the end. And it was like they could have stretched everything out to like 2 more seasons, but I understand why they didn't. I feel like that series might have been done justice if they would have just cut the last season
Mhm.
and just made it into video games. It was like, here, you know, like whatever. But you get into this thing where it's like something that's so beautiful and perfect on TV or the big screen, and you bring it to you bring it to the gaming world. Just as if you take games to the other way, I think you might lose an edge there, and it can do with something an injustice.
History
So,
definitely agrees with you.
I guess my answer is no real answer at all, Imperial Scum, but Game of Thrones, if you could do it the right way, I feel like that would be one that I think everybody who's a Game of Thrones fan would really love to play. But it's
Yeah.
like, where do you even begin? What do you do with it? There's so much there. So I've never really thought of this, and I think that the silver screen and TV do such a fantastic job with storytelling and everything by themselves. I don't
Separately.
think it needs to be brought into the gaming world. Feel free to disagree, but that's how I feel on it.
So, this is more of a very specific, I guess, property going and working with a specific developer. And I actually can't remember the developer's name, but I'll base it off the project that they've already done that got a lot of, critical success. But outside of, before I touch into that, there's always, me being a huge comic book fan, I'd love to see the the Insomniac Marvel Spider-Man treatment with, I'd love to see the X-Men. I'd love to see, a lot of properties like that. As much as I've talked about it before on the show, I've never been the biggest Superman fan. I've always been a huge Batman fan. Batman's always been my favorite, comic book character of all time because he has such a great moral fiber, but there's so many gray areas with his character. I thought that's always a really humanistic approach, and what Rocksteady did with that is very similar to the Insomniac Marvel. They gave it the treatment that character needed at the right time. I'd like to see a Superman game be made that when people say, oh, Superman in video games, they just think of Superman 64, which is one of the worst games of all time.
Right.
I'm not a big Superman fan, but the older I get, the more I become attached to the character because of I can now see the moral fiber that he has and the dilemmas he does face. But I'd like to see justice be done to him with, bringing him to, giving him one more shot with the technology that we have now with flying and different things like that. So for my specific one, and I don't know, Mike, if you would know this game or you're at least familiar with it, but Adam, I feel, would be. Adam, do you know the game Gone Home?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Okay, so, and it's by, who is it, Fulbright?
The Fulbright company.
Okay, Fulbright. So, I'd love to see that studio with how they make it. For all intents and purposes, Gone Home is a walking sim. It's basically an interactive, really, if you want to call it, storybook, if you think about it. If you would bring a storybook to life that you start at this house and you're trying to uncover the mystery that's around. There's no enemies attacking, but it's building suspense. It's building the immersion so well. One property that we haven't seen, and it's critically one of the greatest movies to ever come out of Stephen King's lineage, that's been translated so well, and what made a lot of movie stars, careers right off the bat, child stars. I'd love to see Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Made into that by Fulbright.
That'd
where
be awesome.
I see where you're going with this, yeah.
Where you could take control and you experience, not necessarily, I wouldn't have any co-op with it because that's, walking sims, you can't do co-op with, you can't do anything like that. But granted, it is based off the groups. I would like to have it where there's replayability, where you could play as each different character of the 4 kids that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And even from,
what's
his name, Joaquin Phoenix, River Phoenix's, older brother.
Yeah.
What's his
Ace.
name? Ace and Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
I like even playing it from his
Oh,
perspective.
yeah, the big boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you could, I was just thinking, not to interject, I just want to, throw in a comment, you could make it to where, the kids have different specialties, like you were saying, and, when you play them, you get a little bit of a different experience, someone like Vern might be more afraid of the dark, so you would get that Amnesia the Dark Descent if you've ever played it, where when he's in the dark by himself, starts to go a little crazy, hear and see things. But someone like Chris Chambers, he might be more brave, so whenever the kids are out of the campfire and they hear the coyotes, he would get heightened senses and he could see things.
But he could also his speech ability would be shit because no one believes him at anything.
Yeah.
They all think he's a piece of shit, a little shit kid that is going to grow up to be nothing and ends up being a lawyer.
Yeah.
But I think that story being a novella of all things too.
All right.
I think
what a great movie too.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely.
Every time I see it on TV, granted I have it on Blu-ray or whatever.
If you've never seen it, please do yourself a favor and see Stand By Me. You have to pay for it, rent, whatever you have to do. Watch the movie.
The book is called The Body, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, by Stephen King.
Yep. Okay. So it's a very good coming of age story. But it builds tension so much while telling a great story in the movie alone that I feel would fit that mold that Gone Home and Firefly also kind of constructed. But
for sure,
that'd be something I'd like to see.
But that movie,
and I'm kind of like you, Mike. To an extent, it's I don't need the crossover between the two. I think both are fine the way they are for the most part. Yeah. We've talked about that before.
But since you brought up the walking sim thing, you did a perfect job answering the question. I feel like you did such a good job picking a movie that would be great with a game like Gone Home, which, while I'm not all that familiar, I understand what's going on.
But you played games similar to that.
Absolutely.
You would get it's a 2-hour experience at most that you're going in and out.
Yeah, but worth it.
Yeah, it's impactful. I played it 8 years ago or whenever it came out. I played it on my, like, super shitty PC, our old PC that I had in my room, not our family one, because for some reason my parents thought, like, oh, you're not supposed to play computer games on a computer. Games are developed on computers.
Yeah.
Like, so, but I remember playing it on there and, just falling in love with it. And it's been one of those games that stuck with me that didn't do, it didn't need to be bombastic and over the top, but it was a quick in and out experience that just stays with you. But yeah, it's
really great pick.
Yeah, it's something I would like to see. It kind of makes me want to play Gone Home again. I haven't played it in so long, but it's one of those games that I definitely recommend also playing. But
have I played Paratopic with you guys?
I don't think so.
That's a really fun, like, half-hour game that's kind of a walking sim, but it has more stuff to do. We should try that sometime. Speaking
of walking sims, and then we'll move on, but one game that I remember I got right when I got my PS4, I remember playing, or I got with PS Plus, Everyone's Going to Rapture, I believe is what it's called.
I've heard the name of it, but I don't know
what it's about. It's a walking sim, but it's gotten rave reviews. I've been wanting to play it, but it's been sitting in my PSN library for years now, but it's a shorter experience. I would imagine easy platinum trophy too, so and I love that shit. So I would like to go back and play that, but so all right. Moving on to our next one. Thank you, Imperial Scum, too, by the way. Great question. Up next from George H. Hey, GPGC crew. What is your biggest gaming-related pet peeve? It could be something another player does while playing. It could be online, couch co-op, whatever. What a certain genre of game does. Really anything that grinds your gears when it comes to gaming. Mike, I feel like you would have a lot to say about this. So let's just let you get it out first, lay it all out. Because I feel like you could have a laundry list going with some of this shit.
Yeah,
You're the most vocal usually, I feel like, when it comes to negatives, which is good. You need a lot of that, and I think on our end, Adam and I usually tend to be pretty positive about games being at least open, being, kind of having a soft spot, I think, on the development side for it. We're kind of maybe a little more open to it, but you're critical, which is good. That balances us out, I think.
Yeah, oh my god. I kind of went off on like tangents the last two questions I answered, so I'll try to keep it short to the point, which we know, everybody that listens knows that is hard for me to do. God damn it, MOBAs suck so much ass, and everyone that plays them sucks so much ass.
Jesus Christ!
And like, it's just such a miserable, abysmal.
How do you really feel?
Dismal. It is the worst genre. Has the worst players. Nothing is ever anyone else's fault. It's always everyone else's fault.
It's the Spider-Man game.
They could go 0-18 and like it was the jungle's fault because he wasn't ganking enough. It was the support's fault because they couldn't hit hooks. It was the mid's fault because he didn't roam. He didn't carry hard enough. He was 11-0, but he didn't roam the my lane enough. Like, you let their top player get 18-0. Like, I like, it just doesn't matter. The excuses never stop coming with people online when it comes to those games. Like,
yeah.
Even when I play Overwatch, I'll be gold damage, DPS. I'll have like 13,000 damage, but, oh, I'm not doing this right, or I'm not doing that right. Oh, it can't be our tanks, it can't be our support that's failing us. It has to be the DPS. It's just like, it's the worst genre with the worst people. And if you play MOBAs and you love playing MOBAs and you spend all your time playing MOBAs, God bless your soul, because it is the worst place ever. I would rather... I mean, I play Halo, and it's pretty bad and toxic, and Gears is, like, first-person shooters in general is very toxic, but my god, MOBAs, like, I would rather just sit there and piss kidney stones out for 12 hours a day than play it. Like, I would literally just stand there at the urinal and just piss kidney stones out than just sit there and have to play MOBAs.
I think I may be taking a jump at, this assumption. You don't like MOBAs.
I just told you.
I don't think you really like them. I done told you I work out. Jesus, all right. Thank you, Mike. Adam, I'm curious to hear what you follow up with that.
Oh boy. I guess I just gotta piggyback off of what Mike says. Like, he hit on this, and it is probably one of my biggest pet peeves in gaming. Just like unbridled toxicity in online interactions. You know how I don't know if it still shows up, but the ESRB warning shows up on any game that has online play. It says online interactions are not rated. Well, that's for a good reason, because there's no way they could account for the, like...
Free will. Really.
Free will, yeah, but what it always ends up being is, like, a cesspool of human misery
True.
of just like
More specifically, yes.
of unrestricted toxicity that happens in online games.
Well,
Like,
everyone's abrasive off the bat. That's their first go-to, is to be abrasive. Like, if somebody questions anything, it's not to be, oh, my bad, it's, go fuck yourself. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, there's no admission to, nobody, like Mike said, nobody does anything wrong. Like, I'm not the problem, somebody else is. And I've been guilty of that before in the past. I think we all have to an extent, but there's...
I think it's a challenge on the community managers and the game developers' part, because they want to create a positive environment, but at the same time, they don't want to drive people off of their game by banning them, and then they can like weaponize outrage to say, oh, the devs are censoring people and doing all this shit, and then like they lose the player base. But at the same time, if your player base is already poisonous and no one can have a good time, like, do you even really have a game to begin with? Like,
it's like the witch in Snow White who dips the apple into the poison, just and pulls it out. Oh, now it's poisonous. Everything's ruined now. You know, like no matter if you jump into a game that's like that, you're festering in the same stew that's going on of toxicity. Like if you're clean, you're going in, you're coming out toxic, because that's the name of the game.
If
like,
everyone else gets mad, and it's not your fault, you're going to start getting mad too.
Especially games like Siege, which was good for a while in terms of like when they first started using the battle eye, I think it is, where they were banning people like left, right. You're getting bans left and right. It kind of did steer people away, but then people found out how to like cheese that system.
What did they get banned for? Was it like communication stuff, or was it?
Oh yeah, you could, from cheating, communications, team killing, anything. Like,
okay. And
the report system is pretty strong on, but at the same time, anybody can report anybody for anything.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like Mike with him in League. Like, after a while, it just, no matter if you just like kill somebody on the other team, they can report you for toxicity or something. And then after a while, you have X amount of like marks on your profile, you're just going to get banned, and you could do literally nothing.
There's just not enough people in the world to review every case, so obviously they have these automated systems that are easily gameable once you understand what they do.
Yeah, and it's like other people can kind of goad you into saying things that are like hot button issues with these bots that are banning people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know, when it's like from the Riot standpoint, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, if they didn't try cleaning up the game was so bad, toxic-wise, like, nobody wanted to play it. But now, like, you're banning all these players, and everybody's just, like, now they've just found ways to, like, throw games without, like, legit straight up just losing the games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you are toxic on game chat and you start banning people for being toxic in game chat, well, their gameplay is just going to suffer, and they're just going to purposely fuck around and lose you the game because you made them mad anyway. Yeah. Like, if you come at me and say, dude, stop feeding, all I'm going to do is sit there and control 4 and dance in lane and just fuck around. And, like, yeah, you can get banned for that after, like, 1 million reports because, like, as long as you make it look somewhat believable, it doesn't matter. Like, if you just go right-click Baron and you're level 3 and just go die to the Baron immediately, like, they're going to catch it. But
somebody doesn't know how to solo Baron at level 3.
But if you just go into, like, if you go into team fights and you're just purposely missing heals, like, missing hooks, like, you can kind of just, like, make it look like you're just playing poorly that game, and you're not going to get banned. But you're making your team lose, and in your chair, you're just loving it.
I have to wonder, like, who do you have to be? Who has to hurt you, and how bad for you to want to ruin 4 other people's experience just because maybe they told you to stop feeding, or they told you to, like, do something that you weren't yet doing?
I don't know. It's easier than facing the music and realizing that it's a problem with you, just throwing the game for everyone else and ruining it. Yeah. And then when everyone's like forfeit at 20 and it's a ranked game, it's like, dude, the game's over. You died 7 times in 10 minutes. The game's over. Like, just forfeit. And then they don't forfeit and they just make it worse.
Yeah, like, and that's, on my end, it's the same sentiment as you guys. I mean, that after a while, I just get pissed off, and that makes me just not play the game. And we talk about it all the time on here that we're all adults with either school, work, commitments. We have girlfriends, fiancés, whatever, you know, outside of it, that, you know, we still play a lot of games, but at the same time, our time's limited to do that. I'm not going to waste my time getting fucking berated with, you know, oh, shitter, and then I'm just going to give it back after I fucking, like, clean house on a round of Siege, and I'm just going to spam shitter, and, like, it's a toxic circle. And really, it's just, that's never going to change, because that's just the free will of games. The only thing I could say to that is, you know, you got to luck out, and you got to find you got to find people. Try to find people. Once you find people that are respectful and want to play the game together, and if you're in matchmaking or whatever, try to party up with them. Try to get together with them. That's why when I do game online, especially on PC, I try to get with my group of friends.
Right.
Try to find a game that we all can play together. So then when we get pissed off or something, you can call me on it. You're like, dude, fucking put Arissa's shield down somewhere else. And I'm like, you're right. I fucking... Because then I just own up to it because, we're friends and you just own up to that.
My biggest thing about it is, when people play someone, like in Overwatch with Orisa, and they have, a shield, they have an Orisa shield and 4 of them are hiding behind it. All you have to do with Orisa is put your fucking shield literally face to face with theirs. Now you can't hit them, they can't hit you, so it's a stalemate.
Right.
And you just keep doing that, where it's if you're, getting pushed back to a choke point, and you play as a defensive Orisa and we're on attack and you drop it back at that choke point.
Right.
Well, they could be anywhere.
Right.
And you're
you also have to know, you have to know how to play, depending on the game type you play, too. When we're doing Escort the Payload, if I'm playing Orisa, my thing is, at least in my opinion, I'm looking to hold I'm looking to sit on payload.
Yeah, you drop your shield.
I drop my shield on the payload. I sit up there because
But as a DPS,
because I have fucking a shit ton of health.
Well, right.
I can soak up. I'm the tank.
And
I
you
soak
have the
up the damage. I
shield
can put the shield down, and you guys could, if you need to, get behind me if I somehow drop.
And as a DPS, I get to go and flank and do other things because they're all paying attention to the payload, and I get to go into positions where I'm a lot safer but can still do damage. Because as a DPS, I'm taking out their DPSs first, and then I'll start shooting their tanks and other things. Unless, their DPSs are untargetable, I'll just start putting crits on the tanks to try to lower them and make them, focus on trying to heal themselves. But, yeah, it's just, it's crazy. I don't know.
No, but...
I could go on for days.
Bringing it back around, though, I think it's, what it usually boils down to, because of what you mentioned, bringing in people you know lowers the chance of toxicity.
Absolutely.
Because there's consequences for being an asshole if you have repeated interactions.
And I know my friend's strong suits. I know Kyle isn't going to be the best player at a game, so I can't get mad at Kyle because I know going into it that he's not that good.
Right.
But we can be like, Kyle, stop pushing up so far, wait for us, stay with the team.
Yeah.
But if I'm a high platinum DPS player and I just go into high platinum ranked games and people are sucking, then that's what really makes me mad because it's how the fuck are you this rank? You know what I mean? But going into it, like you said, if you have your friends, if Travis tries to play DPS, maybe he's not the best DPS. Maybe he's more suited to be a tank or a support. But it's not fair for me, who's the DPS, to ask everyone else to be miserable and play something they don't want to play.
And you know what? You know what the best thing to do, even if it is a team-based game that communication's key. You need to have voice chat and everything. If there is some fucking dickwad in there,
just mute him.
Mute him. You could hit the mute button. The mute button is the best fucking thing in the world, especially on Twitter. Especially
Halo,
everyone who wants to stand on their fucking soapbox. And I'm all for, getting the right message out to people, and I'm all for people having different opinions. But at the same time, if it's just something you don't want to fucking listen to, hit the fucking mute button. You don't have to block anybody. Just hit the mute button. And then you don't got to worry about it. It makes the gaming experience so much better. And I think this is the best way to cap this off, because we all have the same, I think, we're all agreeing on the same thing that pisses us off the most with gaming. Just be better. Just be better to people. Don't be a fucking twat to somebody.
Don't act different online than you would in real life.
Right.
Yeah, if you would act that way in real life, clean your room.
I know I can be aggressive when it comes to games, but in my older age, I don't start until someone starts saying something to me.
100%.
As soon as someone comes at me when we're playing Halo, and I'll just go off because it's dude, I wasn't mad when you made the 35 bad plays I've watched you make on my death screen or just watching your nameplate move around the map, and I've seen you do stupid shit, and I haven't been like, bro, why are you an idiot? Yeah. But when you come at me for making one mistake, that's when I lose my shit. And it's well, how about the 18 other times? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, let's move into the next one. We're getting a little long in the tooth here, so we'll kind of make these last 2 points, a little more streamlined. So, next up, we have a submission from Kraken97. With GameStop continuously showing up in the news due to their continuous financial dip, what do you see the future of quote-unquote game stores? Do they have a home with gamers in the future, or with digital becoming so prominent, will their need diminish sooner than we think? So, what he's asking is, what does the future of gaming stores look like? Are they either going to be somewhere that still happens, where you still walk out and you buy a game,
right?
Or will they just kind of fade away just because you can get games online so easily if you want that specific interaction? But also, too, just thinking out loud, will it also just be, oh, you can go to a Best Buy and
Yeah.
buy your games? Like, because games are so prominent everywhere. Everywhere sells games now. Walmart,
Right.
Target, Best Buy, anywhere you could think of that isn't a grocery store sells games.
That's
Even then, I think, like, Giant Eagle fucking sells games, like Madden or whatever.
Yeah,
you know?
it's concerning to me. I'll just keep it quick, and then I'll toss it over to Adam. Let's see
about this one.
Even though I don't enjoy GameStops, personally, it's sad that these specialty game stores, if you will, like, they're going to go away. And the only place you're going to be able to buy the new games if you want it hard is Target, Walmart, or Best Buy, like big box stores.
Mm-hmm.
These little game shops, like GameStops, that are just for games are going to disappear because there's nothing else that they can make money off of.
Yeah.
Because, like, stores like Walmart, they probably don't even really make that much money off of selling games like this, but they're the only ones that can handle the swing.
Most stores don't. I think
Right.
we both worked at a Best Buy growing up. You know, your discount is like maybe $5 off.
Yeah.
Like, they don't make
It's not even worth it.
Yeah, they don't make a ton. You get it at cost plus, like, what, like 5% or something.
They just
like
kind of
that.
have it so when you go there and buy that game, they might be able to sell you on a new TV
Right.
or a controller
Or the service
anything.
on it. The service
or the
on the game.
service.
You can replace the game for $5 extra or whatever.
So yeah, pretty soon I see GameStop's disappearing, and you'll have to go to big box for your hard media. And I'll give it to Adam.
Wow, that was good. That was straightforward. I like it. Not that I don't like when you go off. I like the streamline, man.
I'll
I'm
streamline the
impressed.
next one too.
Yeah, I know you will.
I think that is sort of the way it looks like things are headed. I think what they've been trying to do to save themselves is to start to diversify into merch.
Mhm.
So if you've walked into a GameStop in the last like year to 3 years, you've probably noticed there's a lot of shelf space being taken up by like swag of all kinds, like
Oh, yeah.
figures and toys,
Which is cool.
and apparel, which is cool.
Because normally you can't get that anywhere. You have to get it online.
Exactly.
Nowhere you can walk in and you could... Yeah, some Walmarts and shit sell McFarlane action figures or statues or whatever, and that's not necessarily my thing, but I think that's cool because that is somebody's thing, and they can go to a GameStop and bullshit with somebody about that if they want.
Right. And if I'm going to buy a game physical, that's half the reason. I
Yeah.
don't really care much about physical media, but like I do enjoy the experience of walking in and shooting the breeze with the people there who
Yeah.
know a thing or two about games.
Yeah, you would hope so at least.
Yeah.
Most of them, 90%.
I don't think I've ever had an experience where someone didn't know.
Yeah,
at least
90%
something.
of them at least know what's going on, and at
Yeah.
least do play games to an extent.
Right.
So,
So I think it remains to be seen whether that's really going to be their saving grace, though, because they're still on the downturn. They've been having this direction for a while. It doesn't seem to be turning things around completely for them. I don't know. Maybe we'll start to see things like more games might have a limited release on physical, and you might have some stores that just carry those, but they don't operate all the time, or they don't carry as much inventory, just to try to specialize as much as possible and only offer the things that people really want.
yeah. So, I agree with you, and from what I hear now, kind of twofold. One is, from GameStop themselves, they're trying to start modeling their moving forward. They want to start being a place where you could also buy retro games, quote unquote, and that goes back to the whole conversation. But
That would be exciting.
where you can go and buy your N64 carts and things like that. But they also are starting to move more into a center to come and play games, where you can hold LANs and shit like that. Kind of like they're starting to where they still sell games, but they'll also do if you want to hold a Destiny raid party or something like that, you could do that there. A lounge more for gamers. But
That would
there was
be
also
sick.
a rumor that came out of, I guess the GameStop managers conference was this weekend or whatever, so they get their whole briefing or whatever, and they show some gameplay footage of games coming out, and that's just exclusive to them. I actually think they showed Last of Us Part 2 stuff there, which I'm kind of jealous about. But, point being, one big rumor that kind of dropped on Reset Era. As you know, now I am the bad boy of Reset Era who got the 5-day ban hammer.
Oh, no.
They took me out like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Self-promo.
Yeah, self-promo by just chiming in on a discussion saying, oh, in our podcast, I didn't even link to it, so, hi. Anyways, but...
Rent-free.
Yeah,
Rent-free in Reset Era's heads.
I am. I'm rent-free in Reset Era's heads. There's a lot of room in here. It's nice. Just fucking stretch my feet out,
We need to call the landlord to get the fucking AC fixed.
Yeah,
This
I
is
know.
ridiculous, though.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Moving But anyways, a rumor that popped up on there from somebody who was a part of, I think they were like an assistant store manager or something like that, who was there. They said the big thing that's coming out of there is they're basically proclaiming GameStop, as you know it now, is dead. Moving forward, they're saying they want to focus on where they won't have stock out on, like, they won't have it how it is now, where there's stock out on the walls. There isn't, you'll be able to buy games there still, but they'll have catalogs with, like, tablets. So you walk up and you pick it out, they'll go get it for you or whatever.
Because you already don't pick a game up off the shelf.
No, they have it behind. They have it behind the counter in the back or something that they have to go get.
All the media's like stored separately anyway.
Right. Yeah. So it won't change too much on that perspective. But their big thing is, from what it sounds like, they've inked a deal with, which who knows if this actually comes true, if this is just bullshit or whatever. But it does kind of line up for what they're trying to do moving forward. They've inked a deal with Microsoft and Sony to keep the disk drives in these next consoles that are coming through, so that they can keep selling, actual things. But from what it sounds like, this is going to be a 3-year transition or something like that. Within the first 2 years of launch of next gen, they're going to sell physical media in the style that they are now. They're going to at least trend in the direction. They're going to start becoming a lounge area for games, but you'll see it more slower, over a 2-year period. It's not going to be you walk into a GameStop October 31st and you see it like it is, and then November 1st it's completely different. So you'll see it eventually move towards that, but for the time being, at least, the beginning of next gen, you're going to see it the same way it is. But to me, that's good. I like that. I like that idea of there needs to be, with as many as like we've talked about before, gaming's such a popular thing now. It's not a taboo thing. Everybody from smartphones and on are gamers. I mean, realistically, you can go down, even what the Dr. Disrespect, gimmick says, people who do play on mobile, they're gamers, quote unquote. So, to me, this is a great idea because it brings more people together to play games. It's fun to go on and play games on your PC with your friends or console or whatever and party up, but to be able to have a place to all meet up and just go and play your games there together, that can make for a good thing, for people, because LAN centers are all but gone. Gaming centers are pretty much all but dead. But with esports and with, because that is one thing they mentioned, I've kind of forgot to mention that esports is going to be a big focus for them because they're going to start selling PC parts there. Yeah. They're going to start selling, graphics cards and things like that people can go in and do that, and monitors, I'm sure.
They have to.
So to me, that's going to really, with the boom of esports, that's really going to help.
Yeah.
And to me, that's I could see them still being around in that era. There's always going to be, with gaming in general being a quote-unquote hobby, or, just like movie stores, there's still going to be places you can go in and buy movies. Yeah. There will still be specific stores because there are people who are going to always want that and always pay for it. Yeah. Will they be as prominent? No. But that's where they're kind of moving. I think their decision,
to diversify.
Yeah, I think their decision is good. Is they're going to be less GameStops. Bless you. There's going to be less GameStops, but they're going to be more impactful because they're going to be probably bigger, I would imagine.
Yeah. Do you really need 4 right in this area?
No, yeah, we have 4 in a 5-mile radius.
Yeah, is that necessary?
It's nice. It's nice to have whenever, for us, a consumer, if there's a game I really want, like a collector's edition or something. Oh, we have pre-orders sold out of this, but the one 10 minutes from here, it does have it. Do you want us to send it over, Fred? Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, it sounds to me like if they start transforming store space, square footage, into lounge areas and stations with TVs where you can, I don't know if you would come in and hook up your own hardware, if they would have hardware for you, maybe you bring your own games. If they're going to be taking down shelf space and replacing it with social space, maybe they still can have, a lot of small stores.
Oh, yeah.
Because it could be these guys are...
You get the mom and pop feel of it.
Yeah.
With it.
Because maybe it'd be the guys over in, X Plaza, they're booked up for the afternoon, but we really want to play. Maybe the one on the other side of town will still be open.
Yeah. No, absolutely. 100%. I think there's still definitely space for game-specific stores. I don't think that's ever going to go away. Will we see the footprint as big in the near future? Probably not. But at the same time, it's just like FYE. They're still FYEs. They're not as prominent. I've seen ones go out of business. I've seen some pop up. But there's still going to be a place that people like going and bullshitting about movies. They like going and bullshitting about music. There's always going to be a CD warehouse. There's always going to be stores that you can go and do, the specialty stores. Are they going to be as prominent? Maybe not, because you can go to a Best Buy and buy this, for X amount. But they are, another thing too, just to kind of put a cap on this part, and we'll move into our final point, thing that I forgot, because I don't have this written down, but just what I read yesterday about it. Another thing they mentioned, they're doing away with the power-up rewards, but what they're doing is going to do a membership that's, I think it's like $15 a month, but then you can go and actually take games out. So you can go and get, you still get a discount, but it's like you get like a $5 coupon every month off of any pre-owned item. Also, you get, it's like $15 a month, I think, and then it's like $5 or $10 to rent a game. And you take that game out and you have it for, 2 weeks or whatever.
That's pretty sick.
But yeah, so it's starting to feel like more of a mom and pop, store.
So you have this cocktail of they might transform the power-up rewards into more of a membership.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to include rentals.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to start including more of a social space to hold events and play games with your friends. They're going to diversify their stock to have not just the merchandise that they've been diversifying into and the apparel, but also retro games.
Yeah.
I think that's like a pretty good cocktail for GameStop to start surviving and thriving into the next decade.
No, 100%. I completely agree. So we'll see how it plays out. I think there'll always be a home for specialty stores. The landscape of that is obviously changing with digital, and we'll see. But there'll always be if you ask me, any way that I can keep doing couch co-op or anything like that with friends,
for sure,
I'm all good with it. So, and finally, we're gonna move in. This will be a quick one because I think we all have at least Mike, I know for sure, has a strong opinion, and I don't think there's too much to touch on in terms of tangents we can go down, but I know Mike may find them. But finally, we have a submission from Garrett O here. He says, in your opinion, what is your all-time favorite controller and why? Adam, we'll start off with you.
The Duke on the original Xbox.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say
the big boy.
The
Ogre Cubs loved it. They use it all the way.
And they're reselling them they modernized them to work on modern consoles. I mean, Hyperkin's selling them.
Good for them, I guess.
So somebody wants it out there.
There's Duke customers out there, bub.
All right then.
Let's hear them.
To be real though, I'm gonna say I really love my Switch Pro controller.
That's up there with me.
It was a bit of an adjustment for me because the face button layouts is swapped from what you're used to on a modern game controller.
Why?
Like X and Y are swapped
Why?
and B and A are swapped.
Because Nintendo's gonna Nintendo, baby.
Well,
that's why they've
Just
always
make it
done
like
that.
the Xbox
There's
controller.
there's something about, and it starts with the PlayStation. That we could go on a whole history, but I've heard that if you look at a PlayStation controller, the kind of language of design in Japan said that the circle button was the confirm button and the X was the cancel button. So your confirm button was on the right of the controller face, and the cancel button was on the bottom. And I think they kind of like switched back and forth between like the domestic standard of design and like an international market.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think with the Switch, they're finally saying, okay, we're gonna put it back to the way we're used to.
Yeah.
And you see this in like old PlayStation games too, like Japanese developed games. Circle is often to confirm things and X is to cancel, but North American made games swapped it.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because they went with directionality, like the bottom button on the face is confirm and the right button is cancel, or the top button is cancel.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would be interested to know if anyone knows where these standards came from.
Yeah.
But that hurdle of getting used to Procon aside, I think it's a great controller. It's really sturdy. Everything's very like clicky and snappy. I like the way all the buttons feel. And also, I can wake up my console with it, which is the first time I've been able to do that on a Nintendo system.
Yeah, 100%.
Like Xbox and PS4, or Xbox and PlayStation had it generations ago. Switch is finally catching up where you can wake up the console with the controller without having to go over.
Welcome to 2006, boys!
The future is now, old man.
Welcome to 2006, Nintendo. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, for real. I mean, like, and I agree. The Pro Controller's up there for me. That's kind of my toss-up for one. Another big thing I love about that, the battery lasts fucking forever.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You could charge, it's like 40 hours of gameplay or some shit like that off a single charge.
I also really like the gyro aiming.
Yeah, it feels good. It's not, sure, it's a gimmick, but it feels natural. It's not wonky. It's not like...
I was converted to gyro aiming when I played it on the remake of Ocarina of Time on the 3DS.
1,000%.
Like, this is way better than joystick aiming.
Right. 100%. No.
What?
100%.
I'm not
it feels
always
natural.
in the mood for
It's
it,
just
but...
actually, yeah. Splatoon, it's a little hard for me. I'm not necessarily sold on that completely, but hey, different strokes for different folks. But I think when it comes to ergonomics, it comes to the feeling, the layout, I honestly think the Xbox One controller is fucking the tits. I think it has the best of
Fair.
a lot of worlds. The 360's real fucking close to it, though. I think this one I think the Xbox One controller fits in your hand a little bit more. I don't hate the PS4 controller, but I think I will never like the way the sticks are laid out because I have big thumbs and big palms that I bump. I bump thumbs all the time whenever I'm using like dual sticks. I do like the touchpad. The big thing with the PS4 controller is the battery fucking sucks. It lasts like an hour. But it'd be a toss-up probably between Xbox One and Switch. And it's hard because, like, I like the Super Nintendo's controller a lot, too. I even have, in all nostalgia aside, I don't think the N64 controller is as wonky as people think it is. Like, I see why people, but it offered a lot of different playstyles in one layout.
Yeah.
Like, joystick control, but then also you have the D-pad, like, right there to the side. And you didn't feel crammed, you didn't feel... It was an experimental
issue was, like,
time.
the C buttons were really hard.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, you were playing
GameCube
like this.
controller is fucking great, too.
Yeah.
I mean, but
It is.
It really, that's up there with me, too.
There was one generation back then when every controller had basically the same layout. The GameCube was a little bit, like, jumbled and smashed, but the relative positions of all the buttons are the same.
Yeah.
You have two sticks, and they're offset, just like the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got shoulder buttons. It had an extra shoulder button before the Xbox did.
Yeah, true.
And you got your central start button. I mean,
Yeah.
what more could you ask for? PlayStation 2 at the time,
Had 4 shoulder
I think
buttons
it was... that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
They've always had 4. But I think they were still behind at the time, like you said, because I just don't like the central double
No.
joystick.
The offset joysticks, they feel great. You never have to worry about bumping, and naturally, when you pick up that controller, it just feels natural to put your hand like this,
Yeah.
where your thumb isn't getting in the way of hitting certain buttons or whatever. It's all spaced out appropriately, where you're not worried about, accidentally bumping something or whatnot. I think that's great. The only thing is, it still runs off fucking AA batteries, which is
Yeah.
asinine. If Project Scarlet comes out and it asks me to do AA batteries, I'm gonna throw the controller through the wall and just be like, no, no, I'm just not. I'll buy the system.
Buy a wired.
Yeah, I will buy a wired. My 360, the main controller I used was a wired one. I mean, just because I fucking hated worrying about battery packs.
all wireless shit. I hate having to charge shit constantly.
I don't mind when it's like my PS4 one. I bought like a $5 dock for the controllers. I just when I'm done, click it on, and then it's good to go. But I also have to remember to do that.
Yeah.
I can just set down the controller and fucking forget about it. So, Mike, let's hear yours. I already know what yours is, but I know yours.
Let me get the old. Hold on. The professor's in. He's got to open up. I got to open up my bag and get my clipboard out. All right, here we go.
Oh, holy shit! He does have a clipboard.
We're gonna go with a rating system here for me. I've played a lot of different systems. Played competitively on 2. Mouse and keyboard does not count, so we're going to disclude that. Here we go. I'll give you the top 5, starting with number 5.
Oh, boy. Okay.
There's a lot of things that go into these ratings. Okay, comfort is important. Some of the other things that are important, just overall design, how it fits in your controller, how much my hands sweat when I hold them, because I'm a sweaty boy.
Well,
My palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on my sweater already. And
Thank you, B-Rabbit.
Okay, so breaking this down from a fundamental standpoint, I'm going to have to say that like the Sega Dreamcast controller sneaks into the top 5 for me, absolutely. Okay. I love it, very much so.
Shout out to the VMU. Man.
But I share
memory.
similar sentiments with Travis about the N64 controller, but it just lands just outside my top 5. My top 5, we'll go with the PlayStation 4 controller coming in at 5, which is pretty surprising for probably everybody out there, but the comfort level is pretty solid. The buttons are meh. The triggers are super meh. Like L2, R2 is trash. R1, R2 is pretty solid. The big thing about the PS4 controllers that make it a legitimate controller to me is the thumbsticks. Not the positioning. Concave. Not the positioning. The concave's nice, but the tightness of the right thumbstick when I'm aiming in Call of Duty makes this controller break into my top 5 because I feel like it's very tight and I can make precise movements with it. It's not all loosey-goosey, and it's not just like bleh, bleh.
Right.
It's
not
tight.
It's not like post Mario 64 N64 controller.
Where you just beat the piss out of it.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a pretty solid controller.
You got that lipstick joystick.
I like the PS4 controller. It's pretty solid. The Nintendo Switch Pro controller, which I'm holding right now since Adam talked about it, I could see why he likes it. The comfort level is there. The only bad thing about this controller is it's really heavy. I'm not a heavy controller fan, but I do like it. The Pro Nintendo Switch controller makes number 4 for me.
Okay, all right.
Besides the button face being like absolutely fucking garbage, the comfort level of it is huge. R2 are like, we'll just call it the right trigger and left trigger and then the bumpers from here on out. Mm-hmm. The right trigger and left trigger are very nice. Easy to push. The bumpers are great. I love this controller. The Pro controller makes it in the top 5 in number 4, but if it was a little
do you like
lighter,
actual triggers? Like responsive triggers, or do you like just button triggers?
It doesn't really matter. I usually turn off impulse triggers
what
on
is
all
it,
my
analog
games.
versus...
So, yeah, a digital controller is just like snap on, snap off.
Yeah.
And I think the Switch is definitely digital.
Yeah.
I don't know if Xbox and PlayStation triggers are still analog or not.
Yeah.
They used to be.
They are.
Okay.
I don't like that I can I feel a click when I pull the trigger so much.
Okay.
Like with the Nintendo Switch controller, like I can tell a distinct, like when I hit the bottom, I feel a click. I don't really like that so much. But like I said, if it wasn't for the weight of this controller, like if I could take some weight out of this, like maybe a pound off this controller and make it light, I'd love it. So the Pro controller for Nintendo Switch comes in at number 4. Now here comes the really tester, and it's all Xbox controllers from here on. Shout out to Microsoft. You guys have done a fantastic job over the years.
This is a Microsoft Central show, so.
But we're going to sneak the Xbox One controller in at 3.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm putting the Xbox One controller at 3 is the durability issues for me. Okay. I'm constantly breaking them just by pushing like the bumpers. It's a frustrating situation. Okay. The thumbsticks are a little too loose for me. Not the biggest fan. Other than that, though, the comfort level is what keeps it above the Nintendo Switch controller, because the comfort on the Xbox One, because I don't have to use a memory pack or the battery pack, I can just plug a USB cord into it, and it's really light. I really like it. Number 2, we're going to go with the S-Type from the original Xbox.
Oh, yeah. Shout out.
The thumbsticks are a little loose on the original Xbox for me because it's been a long time since I actually held a brand new controller. But the comfort level, the weight, like the lack of bumpers is a little strange, obviously, but for the time it was amazing. The white and black buttons were weirdly placed, but they were minuscule buttons in most games, so it really didn't bother me all that much. Yeah. But the thumbsticks and the triggers, it was just a super, like I used to play Halo 2 for 16 hours a day, and I used that controller, and it was, my hands didn't bother me. Number 1, the Xbox 360 controller, to no one's surprise. I put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into Halo and Gears of War with that controller. Never had any issues. The thumbsticks are perfect. The buttons are perfect. The wired weight is perfect. If there's one perfect controller in this world, it's the Xbox 360 controller.
You're not alone on that. I've heard a lot of people say that.
And I was going to make it pointed, but I had to give you a top 5 because there's some great controllers.
No, absolutely.
And even though I'm an Xbox fanatic, I still had to sneak the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch controllers because both of them are really good. They deserved it. Like the PS1 controller's dog shit. I don't want that one.
The PS3 controller is the worst.
Yeah, I mean they're just awful.
The 6-axis on it didn't even have rumble.
Like, what do you think I'm throwing in there? The Wii controller?
Hey,
bro. Give me a break, but the Nintendo, the Nintendo Switch Pro controller is so close to number 3. If I could take weight out of this bitch, it would have been number 3.
It's a great Xbox One controller, man.
Very good.
I bet you it's the battery. I bet the long battery has the weight involved.
Yeah, like it's just
plus
heavy.
You gotta think that they have the or not the AR sensor, the
QFC or something.
Yeah, whatever it is to scan the amiibo.
Yeah.
Plus, you got.
I bought my first amiibo.
Did you?
Because there was something in
Fire Emblem. Samus up there?
Yeah, it's Samus. Because she's my main in Smash.
Nice.
But there was something in Fire Emblem where it's like, oh, if you scan an amiibo, you get these items every time you visit the monastery. So I was like, sure, yeah. If you do a Fire Emblem specific one, you got extra stuff. Yeah. But I couldn't find any out and about.
Amiibos, man, I say, I don't really buy that many, but it's like, I usually only buy the ones of the series I like. Like, I have a lot of Zelda ones, but that's about it. But then there's ones that I'm like, oh, I find them, they're like cool characters, and they're like, I'll see them at GameStop or wherever for like $5. I'm like, they're like pop figures. Yeah. Like, I really don't have a ton of pop figures. You do. Too. Yeah, you got pop figures. You have way more than me. But my amiibos are like those, though. But it's like, I end up just being like, oh, like, $5, yeah. Like, plus I get in-game things and shit like that. I don't really, like, use them, but they're like cool little things. It usually only is characters I like, though. Yeah. So, but ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it. That's a little bit of long in the 2 show, but, you know, we gotta let the hair down a little bit, especially with the Blair Witch one being kind of our central point last week. You know, take a break from the central game since we kind of did back-to-backs with those and whatnot, you know, let our hair down a little bit. You know?
Absolutely.
It's right now we're recording on Labor Day, man. You know,
Yeah.
Fucking.
Everyone else is out grilling, and we're frying.
We're frying, man.
In this hot box.
Fucking take a notch off the belt, man. Let it loose a little.
Unbutton and unzip.
Guys, I think that's going to put a bow on the show for us. Adam, where can people find you?
You can find me on them Twitters at AC_Marshy. That's AC_MARSHY.
Tweet, baby. Mike, where can people find you?
On Twitter at TOYSXLDIER, Xbox Live at LL, and Twitch MP_Toy Soldier.
Nice. And as always, I'm your host, Travis White, aka Travis, on most internet platforms. You can find me on Twitter at Traveless_, TRAVLESS_. You can find me on twitch.tv/Traveless_ as well, same spelling with the underscore. And on Xbox Live, just regular Traveless, TRAVLESS. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. And just thank you for being a part of this growing community. Game on, and we will see you